I think so. Good morning, everyone. You've made it to the middle of the week. Thank you very much for joining this RPMA webinar. We'll get started very shortly. Very shortly. So I just want to say a big welcome to the RPMA members. Thank you very much for tuning into this webinar, because I know it's a busy time of year. Everyone rushing around, trying to get properties rented, trying to get all your Christmas presents lined up. The days just seem to sort of run away quite quickly in December. In fact, I can't believe it's December at all. The years just seem to have gone so quickly. But here we are. The Christmas holidays are within reach. And that's why we've decided to make this RPMA webinar today's topic: how to put your business into holiday hibernation mode. It's very much an operational topic. I'll just be sharing maybe 7 or 8 tips that we have for you to help put your business into hibernation mode. So yeah, it is an operational topic. It's quite good. It's a good balance, because we've done quite a lot of sales topics recently. So I hope you enjoy it. Righto, doesn't that look like a good picture? The holidays are upon us, and you've worked very hard all year. You've probably, as a property manager in New Zealand, you've probably dealt with a large number of complex maintenance issues, emergencies, possibly difficult tenants, probably difficult owners. You've had to navigate a bunch of new legislation. You would have had to do some training. You would have had non-stop emails and text messages and phone calls every day. You might have been doing lease assignments. You may have even been to the tenancy tribunal, to mediation. What I'm getting at is, A, our job is difficult, and B, it's probably time for a bit of a break. Now, a lot of businesses and colleagues of yours, they can do a hard shutdown. Well, I shouldn't say colleagues, peers and friends. They can do a hard shutdown of the business that they work in for the holidays. And what I mean by that is, it might be that they can simply close their doors. They can take the phone off the hook. They can put the out of office on, and they can go away camping with no reception, and everything is fine and dandy. They have a great break. But with property management, it's a bit different, isn't it? We can't really do that, like a hard shutdown. Well, I mean, we could. It would just require a lot of planning and potentially additional people that work inside your business. And I'm just conscious some of the attendees of this webinar will be a one-man band. They don't have other people in their business. So the reasons I don't think we can accomplish a hard shutdown is because our business is kind of always running. We've got the potential for emergency maintenance issues to pop up at any time. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas or New Year. They can pop up at any time, that burst water pipe or exposed electrical cable, and they need to be sorted. The other things are, of course, you've got rent to receipt, you've got payouts to owners to do, you've got creditors to pay, tradespeople, tenant refunds. So there's the whole money side of things, which doesn't really stop either. So this webinar is really about how we can help you get to be that person on that beach in that photo on your screen. We want you relaxed at the beach while your business is hopefully in hibernation mode and hopefully not giving you stress. Because speaking from personal experience, I know I've gone away sometimes, and because I haven't put some rocks in the stream, I've been in a beautiful setting but not fully present because I'm getting bothered by my work stuff. So that's why I chose to talk about this topic, because I've done it the wrong way before. And I know that any rocks in the stream, any preparation that you put in before you go away pays big dividends in terms of your relaxation while you're on holiday. I think the key to achieving that is laying some foundations down, like I just said, before you pack up the car and hit the road for your holiday. Communication is a big one. Setting up the communication beforehand, like letting people know the dates that you're going to be closed, is really important. Not only that, but having some things in place, so if people do contact you or your office while you're away, you've got some automated directions or instructions or stuff for them where they can go, depending on what their inquiry is. And I'll get into that a little bit later. So without further ado, here are the RPMA's top tips for putting your business into hibernation mode. Tip number 1, update your Google listing. If you already had this in your mind, good on you, because it's really important. It's really your business in the eyes of the world, I guess you could say. So what I mean by update your Google listing, if you're unsure about this stuff, I mean update your hours to show your holiday hours, which reflect your availability. So what this will do is it will help set clear expectations for anyone who wants to contact you. And by doing it, this will reduce the likelihood of you being interrupted during your downtime. So the next screen here is someone who has already successfully, well ahead of time, updated their holiday hours. So if you look closely, you can see that from the 25th of December, this is the back end of Google My Business. They've got it closed from the 25th of December, and it looks like they're returning on the 5th of Jan. Sorry, it'll be the 6th of Jan. So they've got theirs all organized already. So tick that box. Now, tip number 2. I know it sounds very basic and elementary to turn on your out of office, but what I'm about to say next does have some little specifics, nuances ingrained in it. So you might pick up the odd tip or two. I don't really feel, if you just turn on an out of office that says I'm on leave at the moment, I don't think that necessarily cuts the mustard, because the key to a good out of office message is having a precise reference to the period in which you will be away on leave. This is because the receiver will want to know when they can get, or when they can reach you again when you're back. It's a good idea to consider indicating that you will reply to their email when you return, because sometimes there is an expectation these days that even though you get an out of office, the person might be checking their emails and there might be some hope I'm going to hear back from that person. So if you really do want to put your business into hibernation, I would be saying, look, these emails won't be checked, and therefore, while I'm on leave, you won't get a response. I'll respond to you within the first day or two of me getting back to the office, something like that. Now, to double down on what makes a good out of office message, it's really good if you have some directions or instructions in your out of office as well. What I mean by that is you could have like a heading that says in the body of your out of office, could even say viewings. And that could explain that viewings are not being done between certain dates, which is when you're on leave and your office is closed, and that you can get back in touch with them when you're back in the office. It could be a good idea maybe to even list out the particular properties that you've got for rent, put the TradeMe URL in there, and I would advise you, if you can, put a video in there of each property that you've got for rent. And that just means that they'll be able to get more and more familiar with the property while they're waiting for you to come back. Even if it's a vacant property, you might even have under the viewings heading for a particular property, you might say it's all good for you to walk onto the front lawn and take a closer look at the property, if you like. Another heading that could be good to have in your out of office is maintenance, in case any tenants are emailing you about maintenance. What you'd want to say is if the maintenance issue is an emergency, they are to contact someone on an emergency phone, and that could be you, or it could be one of your colleagues, for instance, or a staff member. And obviously we don't want tenants using that emergency number willy-nilly, so you'd have to be kind of quite precise in how you word it. Another thing that people have done in the past, which I personally don't do, but it's a case-by-case basis, I've seen other people go, if your maintenance issue is general maintenance, here is our preferred handyman to use. If it's a plumbing issue, here is our plumber. And if it is an electrical issue, here is our electrician. But you'd want to know first and foremost that your contractors are going to be around, and also that they are prepared to hear from your tenants directly as well. Right. The other thing about this out of office is whether you use Gmail or Outlook, once you put it on, don't forget to also put your out of office on your Palace email system. It could easily be forgotten. I've got an example of an out of office that I've used in the past for this time of year. It's on the screen at the moment. Hello, thank you for your email. I'm currently out of the office on holidays. I will be returning on X. It's great to put that at the very start. I greatly value your email and I will read it as soon as I return to the office. Still, if you require immediate maintenance assistance, please phone our emergency line. And we put the emergency mobile number in there. We shut down, in my old property management business, we used to shut down for about 3 weeks, and we would divert the emergency phone line to one property manager for the first week, then the second property manager for the third week, and then the third property manager for the third week. I think I said that wrong, but you get the drift. All the best to you and your family, your name. Next slide. Tip number 3, this is low-hanging fruit. It's really, really simple. It's to update your website with some sort of a banner that indicates that your business is closed for the holidays. Personally, it's a good idea to personalize that. Maybe it could be you and your staff member or staff members with wearing Santa hats, for instance. And it should just be nice and simple. It says that we're closed and reopening on X day. That's quite a good idea because I know a lot of you will collect rental appraisals or requests for rental appraisals over the holiday period. So if you don't have something on your website that indicates that you are not in the office, I guess that person who has submitted the request for an appraisal could be half expecting that appraisal to be returned to them over the holidays. So it's good to pre-position that we're not open at the moment. That means that that gentleman who's submitted the request for an appraisal knows that you guys are away and won't expect a reply to his appraisal request until you get back. So it's sort of setting the right expectations. Next tip number 4. This comes back to what I was saying earlier about preparation and communication. Once you've figured out when you're going to be on holiday, which I'm all sure you've already figured out, it's important to let those that you interact with, predominantly your owners, your tenants, and your contractors, it's important to let them know what the deal is with your availability and when you'll be open and when you'll be closed over the holidays. A bit like the out of office advice that was on the previous slide, state the dates that you'll be off. A good way to do this is to send out a mail merge. But what you can actually do is sort of frame it up as your end of year Christmas message. Make it real warm and fluffy. Thank you for your business, or thank you for your support, or thank you for all the maintenance work you did this year if you're doing it to the contractors. And then within that, talk about the operational side of things. We're going to be closed and what's happening and things like that. And that way that email is a 2 birds, 1 stone approach. And it's come in on the basis of wishing them a Merry Christmas. I would suggest you do that by mail merge through email, but you could also, depending on if you are taking or closing the office down in early January, you could consider putting that text in your December end of month disbursement, which will be done in early January, but that could be too late for a lot of people. So it might be best to do the mail merge email. Tip number 5, social media. Once again, it would be good to do a post on your social media, maybe the day of or the day before your office is closing. And once again, it's a good idea to lead with the positive Christmas message that you hope everyone has awesome holidays and remain safe and all that sort of stuff. And then mention within that same post the dates that your office is closed and when it will be reopening, and maybe some instructions for tenants and potential tenants and owners and things like that. Once again, it's two birds, one stone, and the message doesn't come across as this is when we're closing, this is when we're opening. It comes across as a warm Merry Christmas message. Tip number 6, properties for rent. Now, the property managers that I've been speaking to recently are really putting in the mahi when it comes to getting their properties rented before Christmas. Working all night to do it, actually. However, if you are left with some stragglers, some properties that are going to sit vacant over the holidays, it's important to consider doing a couple of things. So the first thing I'd say is giving some instructions to the people that are going to be viewing your ads, and you put those instructions in the body of the advert, and what it will do is those instructions will inform potential tenants that inquiries won't be responded to until you reopen, i.e. until you're back from leave. Now consider setting up a viewing. If you use like BookMe or Renty or Viewing Tracker, for instance, consider logging one of those viewings in that will take place once you've reopened. That just gives somewhere for people to land rather than hassling you, calling you, texting you when you're trying to be on leave and hibernate. We don't want them doing that. So if we give them something to land to, it means they'll hopefully go there. So having a viewing set up for like the 12th of January is better than having no viewing at all. Somewhere to put the traffic. Now, not everyone reads the body of a Trade Me ad. So my earlier point was putting instructions in there, but not everyone will read that. So consider adding a cover image to your listing on Trade Me, and it will have a message that will say, hey, we're closed at the moment. The next viewing is on X date, and that could be in January sometime. So it's really eye-catching, and people know straight away what the deal is. So I'll give you an example of one I just put together. So you should be able to see on your screen now, that's the sort of cover image. Prior to adjusting it, it didn't have Santa on it, and it didn't have the no viewings over Christmas text, and it didn't have the first viewing in the new year, 10th of January 23, please book in. Just think that's a real eye-catching way of getting our point across that no point really inquiring at this stage because we're not doing any viewings, but why don't you book yourself in for the next viewing, which is on the 10th of January. Okay, tip number, I'm going to pause that video. That video will play shortly. I'm going to give you a little technology tip regarding your cell phone. So what do you do when you're on holiday? What do you do about the inbound texts that aren't emergencies? They're like, oh, my door handle's loose, which can obviously wait, or it could be a potential tenant going, oh, I've seen your sign outside 123 Smith Street. I'd like to see it. So what do you do with those texts? You could say to yourself, hey, this is my holiday and this is important, so I'm going to ignore it. That's one strategy, but it's not necessarily the best from a communication point of view. Or do you want to take a break from your holiday mindset, your holiday mode, and reply to that text? That's not ideal either. So neither of those ideas are perfect. But what if you could do something with that text so the sender gets a very quick response, but it requires zero input from you and no chances of you having to break out of your holiday mode? So what I'm talking about is a little app that I use called Do It Later. That's the one I use. It's on the Android store. To be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if it does work for Apple, but there will be, of course, a similar type of app. So with Do It Later, you can actually set up auto replies, and you can set it up so it starts on your day of leave, and you can set it up so it ends on your day of leave if you want. you can also manually turn it off and on. So how it works is when someone texts you and you've got the system turned on, your phone will instantly send an instant reply, and you can make the reply say anything you like. You can also exclude certain contacts from it, like your spouse or your family. If they text you saying, hey, while you're down at the pub, could you also bring back a pizza? You don't want them getting an auto text from you saying, hey, I'm currently on annual leave. So that could be a good idea, just to exclude some people. So I'm going to play for you an example on the screen of how it works. I've actually recorded this video on my phone, but do bear in mind, the example I'm using is when a tenant texts me, I think about a lease assignment, and I'm currently out on the road doing inspections all day. And I find that when I'm doing inspections all day, it's difficult to handle inquiries that come in, particularly from tenants. And I like to sort of say, I like to use do it later and turn it on to say, hey, I'm out on the road, but I'll get back to you, tomorrow or as soon as I have a chance. So it just takes the pressure off, and it lets the sender know that I'm tied up rather than leaving them hanging. So I'm going to show you how this works. So there goes the text from the tenant. It's come in. Hey, Ryan, I'd like to discuss the lease extension. Now, without pressing anything, even if my phone isn't in use, it sends off the auto reply. It's quite cool as well. It comes up with auto reply. So it puts the receiver on notice that this is an automatically generated message. Sorry about the play icon hovering over some of the text, but it says, hello, thank you for attempting to contact me. I'm currently unavailable because I'm out on the road for the entire day with my hands full, carrying out routine property maintenance inspections. I'll be able to return your call tomorrow. If the matter is urgent, call, and then it's my office manager and our 0800 number. Kind regards, Ryan. So applying that sort of strategy to being away on holiday, you might have an auto reply loaded and do it later that says, hello, I'm currently out of the office on annual leave. The date I return to the office is the 10th of January, 2023. Your message will be answered or returned at that time when I return. However, if your text is urgent, like an urgent maintenance issue, please call our emergency number, which is da-da-da-da-da. The other thing, while I'm on the topic of phones, is don't forget to update your voicemail as well. Okie dokie, we're getting towards the end of this. This webinar is much shorter than other ones, so I'll give you some time to maybe go and do your Christmas shopping if you had put aside an hour for this. The things that I'm about to cover off next are primarily for property managers, business owners that are working in an office environment. So I'll go through them now with you. So the checklist is turn off any unnecessary lights, clean out the kitchen fridge. That's a good one. I would have definitely forgotten to do that. And ask your colleagues to do the same, to empty all the bins. Don't forget to water the plants so they don't die. Back up all computers. Turn off all unnecessary work equipment. Secure all valuable business assets like documents. Shred any sensitive but unneeded business documents. Test fire alarms and replace batteries if required. Check fire doors are not blocked. Ensure fire equipment is in place and works. Probably one of the biggest of all, shut and lock all the doors. And check to make sure if you've got one, the alarm is working before you go. Right, continued over here. Now, some of these are a double up, and I've already mentioned these things, but I'll read them out anyway. Make sure your clients and suppliers know about you going on leave and the closure of your office. Send and pay out any outstanding invoices. Inform your commercial landlord about your closure. Organise for a cleaner. Set up an out of office. We've talked about that. Change your voicemail. Talked about that. Reschedule or cancel any incoming or ongoing deliveries. Employees, if you've got employees, tell your employees that you plan to close down all or part, tell your employees that you plan to close down all or part of your operations and what the dates are. Assign an employee, preferably a trusted one, to close down the shop or premises on the final day. If you require employees to take annual leave during the closure, make sure it complies with the relevant regulations. So that there is the end to the ways and systems and the tips to put your property management business into hibernation over the holidays. So it was nice and short and sharp, and I was wondering if anyone has any questions. If you do have any questions, you could put them in the Q&A box or alternatively in the chat box. There must be too much excitement. Oh, we haven't got any questions so far. Not only questions, but in case you've got your own personal tip about what you do to ensure that your business goes into hibernation over the holiday period, why not share that in the chat box and I can share it with everyone else, because by no means are my personal tips the be all and end all. I'm sure there's some way better ones out there than some of the ones I've put out there today. So don't hold back. If you've got a really good tip, let us know. Cool. I've just been told the chat is disabled. I am addressing that right now. So hopefully you can now use the chat box. Just give another minute in case there is someone who wants to share anything or ask a question. No? Okay. Well, I hope you appreciated a short and sharp webinar this time around. Sometimes I've drawn them out for 90 minutes earlier this year. So this one I think is coming around 30 something. So once again, I just, thank you very much, David. I think we all as property managers work very, very hard, and it is a job that is hard to shut off from. So my big piece of advice is when you do go away on your Christmas breaks, make sure you shut off and you have a lot of relaxation so you can recharge those batteries for next year. Thank you very much for being a member of the RPMA. We appreciate you being a member and we look forward to seeing you next year. Cheers.